Welcome back to Real Repairs for Real Customers. Who could have believed that we're starting season 4? And to start off this season, we have a repair on a vinyl chair. Now the repair happens to be on the right panel. And as you know, one of the difficulties on a panel of this nature is there's no support behind the vinyl. So that'll be our challenge. The other challenge is that the tear or this cut has occurred over the sharp edge of the wood frame. Now, because of that, when we press against the repair, we chance accentuating this cut line. So the repair itself, the vinyl repair, is going to be rather straightforward, but it's our approach to this repair that really counts. So let's go to work. This chair was brought to us by a restoration company that specializes in water and fire damage. There is some wear and tear on this, but they are responsible for this damage. And if we can take care of this, their restoration is complete. So our objective is to get access to the underside of the vinyl so we can support this while we're doing the repair. And of course, there's not really much to this. Taking off our dust cover and removing the staples from our vinyl. And as we're removing the staples, you can probably see this other damage right along the bottom edge. So we'll fix that too while we're at it. Use whatever you have handy. I happen to have a piece of plastic that's left over, which seems to serve the purpose to give me a nice flat surface to work on. So we're going to do some clean and prep here. That plastic was slated for the trash, but it stuck around long enough and found a way to be useful. And now it's supporting the whole job. So the first advantage of this approach is that we can use a backing board to get support and therefore get a flat repair. And now we're ready to go. Now I happen to have a color in the same family. It's just too dark, so we'll lighten it up and make a small adjustment. And that brings us to the second advantage of this method, and that's to be able to put in a very large subpatch. Now I don't use a subpatch very often, but here it's practical. It will keep our repair separated from the backing board. And the idea is that we want the edges of our backing fabric to float freely. We don't want to press down on the edge of our backing because that'll show up in the surface of the vinyl. We want those edges to be feathered, which this particular backing it does feather on the edges, so we're not too worried about it. But the point is we want it way wider than the repair, and by getting us access to the underside, we can make it as big as we want to. So of course we're using the ironing method here to establish a level, flat repair. We did a couple of videos showing the various techniques for attaining a flat vinyl repair. Look at those videos again if you would like to. You can use one or all or any combination of those techniques depending on your particular application. So here we're using the ironing method a couple of times, and of course the chill bar to make sure everything is nice and level. We can use a little guide coat of our mixed color to show off any imperfections. And you can see it's quite an advantage now to be able to fix this damage that was on the corner. Now we can treat it like any other flat vinyl repair. Now the graining paper didn't give us exactly the texture that we wanted, and so I'm going to follow up with a heat gun. I'm using a battery operated heat gun here for the first time. There'll be more on that later. I'm not happy with it. I'm really struggling with it for temperature. We've talked about this before, the old 1-2 punch, the iron and then the heat gun. The heat gun is nice because you heat the vinyl surrounding the repair, and so the graining goes into the original vinyl, through the repair, and through the other side to the original vinyl again, and that's what really helps to disguise the repair area. It becomes part of the whole piece that way. Still following our recommendations to keep it flat. Different vinyls react differently, and so we need to really pay attention to each step to try to force our repair as flat as possible. There's another damage that became visible when we had cleaned up here in the top, so we'll just do a quickie repair on that too. All right, so now we are up to our third advantage of this approach to repairing, and that is when we retension this vinyl, we can look across our repair and we can tension that vinyl in such a way as to force that repair level. We're not just tensioning the whole side panel, we're really tensioning with a view to giving that repair the best appearance possible. Now there is one small pinhole here, and so I'm using a bit of air dry filler to fill that in. That way we don't have to reheat the whole piece and risk distorting the lay of the vinyl. And you know, if you're able to get the contour just right, you don't want to mess that up. And a little light blending out will fool everybody. Now, time spent removing staples and then reattaching everything later doesn't even compare to the time that you would spend struggling to get that repair level when there's nothing behind there to support it. And remember, we didn't need to push against the wood frame and make that mark back in there. I feel it's better to have a straightforward method than to try to be so anxious and struggle with a repair. So we've fixed the damage and we've made the customer whole. But what about the pain and suffering? Well, let's make up for that by taking care of some of these incidental repairs just to give this seat a fresh new look. We've already got the color, so just a few touch-ups on the repair side of things. It won't take too much extra time, but that brings us to a point about these repairs that we often face. We quote on a job based on a basic repair and based on a picture we may have had. And we estimate based on probably a typical charge for a service call. And the thing that we have to bear in mind is, what if there are going to be some other touch-ups on that furniture? Well, we expect with a service call charge to probably take the color we have and a brush and do a little touch-up here and there. It makes the customer happy, makes them really feel good about it. Also, if our repair is 98% instead of 100%, we can make up the other 2% by doing a few touch-ups around here and there. On the other hand, we can be prepared that when we're brought the furniture, if it looks like there's added work to be done, we can prepare ourselves to tell the customer, well, we can do this other, and it'll be a surcharge, there'll be an extra charge of, whatever it is, $50 or something to take care of the extra. The point is to have it well in mind what you can do with the current price you've given and what you might have to charge if there's additional work. For a couple thimblefuls of clear lacquer and a couple of drops of brown concentrate, I could also touch up the legs, no problem. Now, the way I look at it, I've never spent any money on advertising, but if I can refinish these legs, then think how far that goes to making the customer happy. Then when he delivers the chair to the residence, he's going to get that sense of happiness in return when the customer sees that chair. And guess who he's going to use again? And so we've just invested in a long-term business relationship. Now about that heat gun. Experienced technicians in the field are accustomed to using a lot more heat than this heat gun can deliver. And so I was very disappointed. You know how when you're little and you're riding in a wagon and it starts to slow down and you keep lurching forward hoping to get a little bit more mileage out of your wagon push? I kept feeling like I was lurching ahead and it wasn't helping at all. And I just could not get the results. I risked ruining the repair, coming up on the short end of it anyway, with this particular heat gun. I was so disappointed. Now, I did try to use it on another boat repair. I think we even have that one on video. But I was so disappointed that I got rid of it. I gave it away rather than to have to look at it and see it taking up room in the shop. Thanks for hanging in there for another season. We've got more new ideas coming, and we have the same wide range of diversity of repairs for different markets as you all are interested in. See you next time.